is joining us here today. There we go. Live stream is starting. So we are going to get going here. Paige, are you on with me? Okay, awesome. Paige, as soon as you see the link coming up on YouTube, could you please drop it into chat? And that will be the specific video link for today. Live stream is starting. So I need to hit my mute button so you don't hear me and more me in the background over there. So the live stream is going out in the background. I'm going to stop the screen share right now so that I can see all of your lovely faces for those of you who are choosing to keep yourself out on video and the world can see us as well. My name is Brenda Meller. I am delighted to welcome you all to my Friday VIP Job Seeker Office Hours. Before we start getting into the conversation today, I want to remind you what this is all about. And by the way, if you're new, go into chat right now and type in the word new. And also tell us how you heard about us, if you don't mind just putting that into chat. The way that this works, I call this VIP Friday Job Seeker Office Hour. So let me kind of break that down. VIP, because you are a very important person, even if you are in between successes. That means you're unemployed, underemployed, maybe thinking that a layoff may be imminent, or maybe you've been out of work for a while. Wherever you're at in the process, you are a very important person to me. And that's part of the reason I do these every week, because I want you to know that we're there for you. You're not alone in the process. It can be very isolating and very emotional, like this roller coaster of emotions that you're going through when you're in career transition. And I don't want you to feel alone on the process. On that note, I'm just going to go through quickly and say hello and good morning and see who's in with us here today. So let me just do this for a second here. So I want to say hello and good morning to Elisa, Amy, Angela, Anne Marie, Cheryl, Christina, nice to see you back. Christine, Cindy, Cyril, nice to see you again. David, Dean, Elizabeth, Ivan, Janelle, Jeff, Jennifer, Jill, Joan, Jude, got a lot of J's today, J Club's here. Carol, Kenneth, Laura, Lisa, L, Lisa V, Club Lisa in the house, Mindy, Nancy, N Cones, I'm not sure who that is, but N on there, Paige, Rita, Romina, not sure if I'm saying that correctly, Rosemary, Stuart, Sue, Susan, Sue Club in the house today. We've got Tom, Veronique, and Wendy. I am delighted to say hello and to welcome all of you here today. I see you. And I want to pause and tell the story. Some of you have been on for a while. You've heard me tell it before, but just bear with me. When my son was in high school at the end of the year last year, he told me this story about how the last day of school, one of his teachers came up to him and he said, when you go throughout the halls today, I want you to walk around and notice who's not talking to anybody. I want you to notice the kids that are standing there by themselves. And we're in Michigan. If you are familiar with what's been happening in the news and at schools and things like that, Oxford, Michigan is not too far from us. And there's people that are going through a lot in their lives and psychologically and all of us, we notice things. And I'm guessing this kid probably had some things that was happening and he maybe was one of the kids walking the halls by himself. I don't know. But at any rate, the teacher said to my son, when you're walking around school today, notice who's standing by themselves. Notice who's not talking with anyone. Notice who's always walking by themselves to classrooms or not interacting with everyone. And this teacher said he actually tried this out one day. He said he walked through the halls and he didn't go up to anybody and say hi to anybody nobody came up to him as a teacher. I mean, okay, he's a teacher. The kids don't go up to teachers, but he was like, can you imagine going your whole day without another human being noticing that you existed and then thinking, what if I didn't even exist anymore? Would anyone notice? Right. And that's a part of, this whole, like when you are in career transition or going through a major life change, it can be very isolating and you can be struggling with feelings of depression and isolation and things like that. I don't want anybody to ever feel like that. And amongst this group, I want to encourage you to be connecting with each other. And right now, if you want to go ahead and drop into the chat your introduction of yourself, please feel free to do so. And I want to encourage you to do so. And be succinct on your introduction. I'm going to give you an example right now. I don't want to hear your whole life story with 4 paragraphs. It's too much to read inside Zoom. I want you to get succinct and I want you to get really good at putting this inside the chat. So I want you to tell us your targeted job title, your targeted geographic area, and I want you to put in your LinkedIn URL. Make sure that you include the HTTPS at the beginning, because that way people who are in the session here can click on it while we're in and we can network with you. When you visit people's profiles, as long as they have the HTTPS, it's going to be clickable from inside Zoom. Okay. So when you visit their profile and you invite them to connect, you want to mention, hey, we were both on Brenda's VIP call today, or we were on the Friday call today, whatever. that will help them to remember when they get the invitation who you are and why you want to connect. And then you've got something in common. Okay. So it's a great way of getting a jump start in your network, wherever you're at in the job search process. If you're just getting started, and I heard somebody once upon a time talk about job search similar to when you go through you've been married for many years and you go through a divorce, maybe not by choice, your spouse chose to divorce you, and now you're out in the dating market again, and you're like, the dating market is different. It's not like it was back in the day when you met somebody at school or met somebody at work. Now you go on these dating apps and websites, and then you got to worry about the creepy people, and are they really who they are, and the catfishing and all this other stuff. I mean, there's a lot of analogies to being in the job search market, again, if you haven't been out there for a while. The good thing here is this is not a dating networking group. This is a job search networking group. So everyone that is in here for the right reason, which is to support each other as you are in career transition. So on that note, connect with each other. If you're feeling alone going through this process of being in career transition, reach out and maybe even in chat, say, does anyone want an accountability partner? Like, find somebody in the group that you can meet up with virtually or by phone once a week, maybe when you're both out walking your dogs or having your morning coffee. Let me get a sip as I'm talking about that morning coffee right now. And check in. What are you working on? Did you get that resume updated? And then when they're not on the Friday call, reach out to them. Sue, we haven't seen you in a while. I just want to make sure things are going okay. Maybe Sue's not on the call because she's back to work. Maybe Stu stopped coming because nobody noticed her, right? So we want to make sure that you're not feeling alone in the process. I did get a couple of my all-stars reaching out this week and saying, I'm sorry I can't be on. I don't want to feel like I'm letting you down. I don't want you to feel like I don't like these calls. I do, but something else came up. I'm like, no, I totally get this. Is you volunteering your time coming on and helping me. But I always appreciate people letting me know, because I'm like, what happened to Joey? We haven't seen him for a couple of weeks. He's actually got his girlfriend's going with her family member going through some health issues. So she's her time and attention are kind of focused there right now. With that said, I just mentioned the all-stars, and I want to ask each of them to introduce themselves. So I've got a few folks who are fellow experts in the space of helping job seekers. And I'm just trying to find my participant panel as I go through this. So I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves in the order in which I call their names right now. And then I'll also see if you're able to stay on to help us with some questions today. So Kenneth Lang, I'm going to have you go first. If you wouldn't mind introducing yourself, I'm going to make you a co-host. And then I will have Jude, I'll have you go next if you don't mind, and then we'll keep it going after there. So Kenneth, go ahead.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Kenneth Lang. I'm here to support you. I'm a LinkedIn trainer as well, based out of Wayne, New Jersey, and I'm also an introvert. And I got to tell you, that's one of the hardest things when you're in job search is to put yourself out there. I started little by little. Never be afraid to reach out to any of us for help. That's the hardest thing to do, is just to do that first. I do my calls on Tuesdays from 1 to 2, and I want to thank you, Brenda, for promoting that today. And if you ever have a question, reach out to all of us. I'm here to support you. I was in job search for many times over many years, so I totally get it too. And I definitely support Brenda's comment about having an accountability partner, a job search team. And look at this group as your job search team. Look at this as your large accountability group, because we're all here to help and support each other. And later on, if it's okay, I want to share the story of someone who just landed a job, passively looking, someone you may or may not know. And that person is willing to come back and chat about the journey, which is so unusual. She's going to chat about how she got the job and went from one job to the other. So Brenda, thank you again very much for having me here and for these groups and these events.
Well, thank you, Kenneth. And let's see, next up is Jude. Hey, Jude, right?
Good morning.
That's as far as I'll go.
I never get tired of hearing that. It always puts a smile on my face. So my name is Jude, and I am a resume writer and a job search strategist and interview coach. I'm one of those nerds that absolutely loves to write resumes and help people with job search, coming up with strategies that work for them. And as Ken said, if you're an introvert, your strategy is going to be a lot different than if you're an extrovert. And so I help people come up with strategies that work specifically for them and what they feel comfortable with. I'm very happy to connect with anyone. And if you have a specific question, please reach out and let me know what that is. And if I can help you, I'd be more than happy to. Thank you.
And Brenda, can we have a celebration for Jude, who just won a bronze? I didn't look up the name. I just remember the bronze prize for a resume competition that she submitted. And I think this is your fourth prize in the last couple of years, Jude, right? Since
actually, it wasn't for a resume. It was actually for my LinkedIn profile.
Oh, even better. More pom-poms. Wow. Thank you.
So,
and feel free, if you can, Jude, like drop that link into chat so we can read more about it and we can congratulate you publicly, as that's okay with you. Thank you. Well, Sue, since you spoke, I'll have you go next, if you don't mind, introducing yourself for the group.
Sure. I'm Sue Griffey, known as Sue Mentors in the virtual world. And listening to Ken reminded me, oh, on YouTube, they won't necessarily see our names, so we should use our names. So thank you for that reminder, Ken. I have a global mentoring practice with professionals at all levels in transition, and I'm more likely to be working internationally every day on calls. And as you've already seen, I'm the mentor with pom-poms. I like to celebrate our wins every single time we get together. So I use them liberally throughout today. So just watch for those in the box. Thanks very much, Brenda.
All right. Thank you, Sue. And I think I saw Mindy in our session here today too. Mindy, can you introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Mindy Stern. I am a career accelerator. I host a group of job seekers who are called the accelerators, and every month we meet to learn and grow with each other. We have a guest speaker every month. Kenneth Lang will be on in February. Waiting for that. We're going to be talking about come on in, the LinkedIn water is fine, dealing with introverts and how we can post well. Brenda is a past presenter who was fantastic. And next month I have a recruiter / comedian who's presenting about how to sell your story in an interview. So we always try and mix it up a lot. One thing I will say to all of you, I have been where you are. I was laid off also. It was 10 years ago, but I still remember that punch in the gut that it felt when I got laid off. And because you are on this call, and I see we have 40 participants right now, you 40 are one step ahead of everyone else in the world that is not on this call. So congratulations to you. Give yourself a nice pat on the back because you are doing what you need to do to move yourself forward. Whatever you do to learn and grow is going to help you on the next step of your career. So yay team, we're here for you. Ask questions, we're here to help.
Awesome. Thank you for that reminder. Yeah, you guys are awesome for being here today. You guys and ladies. I am really trying to get away from just saying you guys all the time. You guys. I had a cousin when we were growing up and he would always say, you guys. You lovely people, you ladies and gentlemen, for being on here today. We are delighted to have you. I just dropped into chat a link that I will share only with people who've been on my Friday calls. It is to a private unlisted group on LinkedIn. I'm going to share my screen right now so that you can see what I'm talking about here. But this is a group that I've created on LinkedIn. Are you seeing this on screen right now? Give me a thumbs up if you're seeing this on screen. It should say VIP Job Seeker Resources. Okay, I'm doing like a dual monitor and I think I put it on the wrong one by mistake. This is a private unlisted group on LinkedIn, and inside the group, you're going to see it's pretty active, just like the chat on today's webinar is pretty active. So what I would encourage you to do is, first of all, if you're not already a member of the group, click to go to the link that is inside chat. And when you go to the link, you're going to get a little button at the top that will say request to join, because this is a private group. That means you got to knock on the door and I got to look through the peephole and see who you are. Make sure that you're the right person coming into the group for the right reason. So Romina, I know she's on the session today. I'm admitting her into the group right now. When you first come inside the group, you're going to notice at the top, there's a pinned post, and that is asking you to introduce yourself. If you have not yet introduced yourself, I want you to go and introduce yourself into that post. I'm probably going to do this post about once a month because we have people rolling into the group all the time. And then sometimes people get jobs and the posts are no longer valid. So go into there right now if you've not already done so and introduce yourself just like you did on the Zoom call today. Tell us your targeted job title, your targeted geographic area, and make sure that you're reading through and seeing what are other people posting, because you might come across a job opportunity for a creative director in Dallas and you're going, oh, David Ball, he's looking for that type of an opportunity. So we can help to refer opportunities to each other. Also inside the group, you are welcome to post and share job posting, just like Jude did here. When you come across a job posting, share it inside the group, because there's people that aren't going to see the same posts that you do in your homepage feed. And you never know, there might be somebody in the room who loves pets and has a marketing and communications background, and Pet Supplies Plus is hiring here in Livonia, Michigan, and they might see this posting, and you can help to make that job connection for them. You'll also see reminders about things that I'm working on. And on that note, I want to remind everyone, I have a webinar coming up this afternoon. It is 3 ways to leverage LinkedIn to accelerate networking and find a job. If you have not registered yet, I want to highly encourage you to come on out and join us. It'll be this afternoon at 1 p.m. And I've decided to add one final session in this series. It's going to be the same content, but if you can't make it today, if you want to come out on Monday, we'll be doing it Monday at 2 p.m. There's a handful of people that are in this VIP call right now that were on Tuesday. For those of you that were on Tuesday, I want you to go into chat and tell other people why they should come on to the webinar. I thought it was fabulous. I thought we got a lot of great information and tips. I heard a lot of really positive feedback, but it's one thing for me to say, it's great, you should come and attend. It's another thing for a fellow job seeker to hear from you and to say, wow, I got a lot out of this, and here's, why you should attend. So if you were on with me on Tuesday on the live webinar, I would love it if you could drop a comment in chat and tell people why they should attend that. And again, this is a free live webinar. It goes about 90 minutes. We'll go a little longer with Q&A because I answer all questions before we get off on the session. All right. With that said, it's Friday. I want to see, first of all, is there anybody who's brand new? I'm going to go back through the chat right now. And happy birthday to David. I saw David posting his birthday announcement in there. Very exciting. Let's see what else we have. I don't see any new people that indicated that into the chat. I'm going to pull this up in gallery view. Is there anybody who is new? If you could, can you either raise your hand like I'm doing, like physically raise your hand right now? Or, okay, Carol, and then or you could use the little reactions button. There's like a raise hand function inside there. You can raise your hand. Carol, would you be comfortable unmuting yourself and telling us how you heard about this? And then tell us, please, your targeted job title and your targeted geographic area. Let's see. So I think you'll have to click on your microphone to unmute yourself. We'll give her just a second to figure this out. Mine is in like the menu bar at the bottom. If you hover over, there you go, Carol. All right, go ahead and tell us how you heard about us, and then tell us your targeted job title and your targeted geographic area, if you would, please.
Well, I heard about this from Kathy Warren from Donate Life. She sent me the link. We've met before, but it's been a while. And I'm looking for, and I haven't figured out what I want to do when I grow up. I recently lost my last job unexpectedly. I was already looking, I wasn't happy. So I'm looking for an internal business service, office job of some sort. I do not want to go back into sales. I've been in sales for the last 20 years and I'm done. I'm just done with that.
Okay, well, good, Carol. Well, we're glad that you found us here today. And I would encourage anyone on the call, if you have any advice or suggestions for Carol. It sounds like Carol's going through a little bit of a career evolution right now, which is exciting because you can figure out where you want to go next. You don't have to stay on the same path that you were on before. So if anyone has any advice for Carol on that, we'd love to see your comments coming in and to chat on that. And I saw someone else say there was 2 other new people. NKONs and Elisa are both new. So I want to welcome all of you, whether you're new or returning to us again, but especially to the new people, because this is a whole new, like, what's happening on this call here today. So we've already gone through, we've done some introductions. I've given you the lay of the land. I'll remind everyone, if you could keep yourself muted for the duration of the session. You see, we have a pretty large group. We're up to 44 people. We'll probably get a couple more as we go on. Keep yourself muted unless I call on you. For the All-Stars, when we start doing Q&A, I'm going to pull us into a panel view, so it'll be a little bit easier to see that. For the rest of you, if you do have any questions, or if you'd like to add to if you have any questions, I want you to put those into chat. And what I'd like you to do is put the word question in all caps, followed by typing out the question. So for example, question, how do I endorse someone for their LinkedIn skills? Or why should I endorse someone? Whatever that question is, type in the word question in all caps inside chat and type out the full question. If you have a success story that you'd like to share, I want you to put the word success in all caps in chat, and we will call on you and ask you to share the success story if you feel open to doing so. A success story might be, I got a job. See you, Brenda. I'm not going to see you anymore in the sessions. It could be, I have an interview and we'll ask you any advice for fellow job seekers that might be helpful for them. It could be you're in the midst of negotiating salary. It could be you're starting to get noticed by recruiters on LinkedIn because of your LinkedIn efforts. Whatever you deem to be a success on the path of finding a job, we want to hear from you. Okay. I also want to see if I could get anybody to volunteer to help me with chat here today. Because you see chat's already lighting up and we're getting a lot of questions and success stories that are coming in. If you want to volunteer, put volunteer in chat right now in all caps. In the past, we had, I know Rosemary, you helped us out one week. Rosemary, have you gotten any good karma out of that yet? Has anything come up for you as a result of volunteering in the group? Can you unmute yourself?
I would say, I'll just say yes.
There you go.
I think I've had some good karma over the last week.
Good. So giving of yourself and volunteering of yourself creates some good karma. We had a couple people, I think Eleanor was the other volunteer. Is Eleanor on with us right now? Have we heard from her? Has anyone heard from Eleanor? I don't see her on. And I made the conclusion, I'm like, well, she probably found a job because she volunteered, right? I'm going to draw the direct conclusion there because she's not on there, or maybe she's on an interview or something else is happening. At any rate, if anyone would like to volunteer to help me, put in volunteer in chat. I see Romina has offered to volunteer. So Romina, first of all, am I saying your name correctly? Can you unmute yourself and let me know if I'm saying that correctly?
Yes, you're saying it correctly. Thank you.
All
for
right,
asking.
perfect. Thank you so much. So Romina, here's what I want you to do. I just want you to look through chat. And as you're seeing people put in success or question, I want you to keep track of the order in which those came in. Okay. And then when I say, Romina, who's next? Because at some point I'm going to lose track. You'll help me out. Does that sound okay? All right, perfect.
Okay.
So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to start with, let's see, Lisa has both a success and a question. So I'm going to put us into kind of the speaker view here. And I'm going to have Lisa come on up to the stage and tell us, Lisa, success and question. What's happening with you?
Hello, everybody. Good morning. I had an interview last week and didn't get the position. I was kind of bummed about it, but I'm moving on, sending out resumes. And I had an interview with a different company 2 days ago. They called me again today or yesterday to set up the next step. So now I have another interview. I wanted to let you know on my success. I said, thank you, sent her a basic email that said, thank you for the interview, that kind of stuff. And then a couple days later, after I processed everything, I went back and sent her an email and asked her what I could do to improve, what she thought about my interviewing and just to give me some feedback. And I'm telling you, she sent me an email like my mother was sending me an email. It was amazing. It made me feel really good.
Was there any specific feedback you got from her that you could think could be helpful for the rest of the group here, Lisa?
She said, because we have both dealt with the same career person, so she could tell that my resume was done by her, at least in the beginning, not this one, but I followed the same format. But I think the most important thing was my cover letter, which I wasn't really sure about, but she said my cover letter was absolutely amazing. And I wrote it, believe that. And I wrote it, but I used JobScan because, and we talked about this before. So I use JobScan for my resumes now. And it told me to make some changes. It basically kind of looks at your resume and says you should change some words and be positive, so that helped me a lot because I didn't have a lot of bullet points with numbers and statistics. I'll call them that, but they really aren't. That kind of information. And I think that was really what helped. And she said that they were going to keep me in mind for something else that's coming up within their budget for this coming year, which is awesome. I think that's a success, even though I didn't get the job. And this is somebody that I had met on Facebook and through social media, but never met in person. And it was a really awesome experience and it made me feel so good about myself. So that's kind of cool. And if anyone has any questions about writing cover letters or anything like that, or just something, I can send you mine and you can just kind of look at it and see where I'm coming from. I'm willing to do that also. So with this new position, I'm sorry, I'm trying to go fast. But with the new position, this one that I'm interviewing for on Thursday, it's a huge, amazing, great fit for me. But I always have good questions to ask, but I'm wondering if anyone has anything, what kind of question could I ask to make myself stand out even more? Other than asking questions that are
So
job
you're talking about standing
description
out
based.
in an interview?
Yeah, so
Okay.
so the last interview I had, it was with two people within the department, or actually within the company, that knew nothing about the position. So I asked questions about the position because that's what I wanted to know. And I think that might have helped me a little bit in the process of moving along.
Okay.
Because I looked at the description, found a few things that I thought were interesting, but
Okay, Lisa, I'm going to jump in if you don't mind. 'Cause
Thank you.
I see
Thank you.
Sue has raised her hand and Jude has raised her hand.
Thank
And then
you.
I'll ask if any of the other All-Stars have anything to add to that. So Sue, I'll have you go first.
I see a lot in the chat, and someone, I think it was Cheryl, someone just posted several questions she asked. So you'll see those there. It's related to one of her questions, and that is two of her questions. You need to ask them specifically, not just what does the team need to do in the next 6 months? What would be your two biggest challenges that I need to work specifically on solving? And then related to, she also mentioned 90-day metrics. Over the next 6 months, what 3 metrics that I succeed at, would I prove to you that I've succeeded with? I haven't phrased that grammatically correct, but just shows them there are pain points they want you to solve.
okay.
All right. Thank you, Sue. Jude, and then Kenneth will go after.
I'm going to suggest, Lisa, that you go from another avenue. So I'm not sure if this company, how good their website is, but maybe they have a blog. Maybe they offer information to their customers on how to do their taxes better or something, or how to save money on their energy costs. Or maybe they're talking about a new initiative, some new project that they're working on that they're trying to get up and running. That would also be a great area for you to ask questions about in this new role. Would I be supporting the implementation of the blah, blah, blah? And because that would also indicate that you've really done some thorough research and that you're excited and engaged and would be engaged in doing this type of work. So that would be my suggestion.
Awesome. Thank you, Jude.
Okay,
Kenneth,
thank
anything
you.
to add?
Can't hear
Oh,
you.
Kenneth. Oh, hold on. I get to get my sign out. Oh, I can't find it.
I'm mute.
Dang
Okay,
it.
got it.
Go ahead.
I'd say also when you're talking to the person, the hiring manager, ask them what they like about working at the company, ask them a little bit about their journey, because that will give you some insights. It's always about tell me about yourself. They want you to tell you about yourself. Ask them to talk about what they like, their experiences there, and then use that as an opportunity to, promote yourself, because people love to talk about each other. People love that so much. I think if you've looked at their LinkedIn profile, you may have found out some things about them, but you want to make it even more personal. Okay, tell me about this. How long have you been there? What do you like? I wouldn't say don't like about it, but just, make it about a conversation that way.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Those are all
Mindy,
great.
We'll finish off with you, and then we'll give Lisa any final comments here. Go ahead, Mindy.
Sure. Thanks. So Lisa, congratulations on getting to this interview. Is this your first or second interview with them?
It'll be my second. So the
Second.
first one was meeting with two people that I didn't know that weren't in the department. And now I'm going to meet with a panel of people that I would be working with.
Beautiful. So you're speaking to a panel. That's a little different than speaking to an individual, right? A little
Yes.
bit more nerve-wracking. So one thing about panel interviews, be really careful to look at the person who you're speaking to and not just to one person or just to the air. You want to be making connections with these people. Remember, you have to be building trust really quickly with people, right? In an interview.
Right.
And you want to make an impression on them. And the impression should be a good one. So typically in a panel interview, there's one person who's going to hog the time. That's okay. You want to be able to answer questions and also then present questions. And one of the questions that I really like is, what did you like about me that brought me to this point? I am really excited about being with you on your team. I'd love to know what about me is making you talk to me today, and use that as a jumping off point to start filtering out things that maybe might be that you don't have, and start focusing on the things that you do have that you can help them with. You have to be super clear about what the role is going to be. Obviously, right? You need to know what that role is, and then hone in on what you have that will make you the standout candidate.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Was that helpful for you, Lisa?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for all of your advice. I appreciate it.
I love the fact that you're so much momentum. It's Alicia Keys, This Girl Is on Fire. Like, you should be playing that like right now, because you're like on fire. Like, all these interviews are happening and things are popping up, and she's like positive. And I've got this mug. My former intern gave this to me. It says, "There's no lemon so sour that you can't make something." Let me try to put it into full view there. "Resembling lemonade," from the TV show This Is Us. If those of you who watched that series will remember, it was like the doctor in the beginning where they lost one of their kids when they were a newborn. He was sitting with the father and talking about this, like, this is something you're going to turn into something great. And Lisa, you're in a situation, I know, where you're trying to change industries, get out of retail and get into nonprofit, and you're learning a lot through the process, and you are like making lemonade and lemon pies and lemon bars right and left as you're going along. And it is so exciting. And I even see the sprouts coming up of like you wanting to help and to pay it forward and to give back to others. And that makes me like so happy, because I'm a big believer in social media karma, helping others. And there's a little nugget of something in there, Lisa. I think someday you might find yourself in a whole other path too, related to helping people. So I'm just going to plant the seed for now. We're going to keep us moving along, but thank you so much, Lisa, for sharing and for asking the question. We really appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Next up, I think we have Cheryl Kildren with a success story. Cheryl, what's going on with you? All right. I'm going to give you a second to unmute yourself, and then I'm going to bring you back up to the gallery with all of us. All right, Cheryl, what's going on? Oh, no. It looks like you're talking, but we can't hear you. We had this happen last week. Make sure that nothing is plugged in, like earbuds or microphones. Try talking again. Nope. Okay, so here's what you're going to try to do, and I'm glad this happened. You're going to dial in. Did we have this happen before? Was it you, Cheryl, or someone else? I can't remember. So if this ever happens to you where you're on a Zoom call, I want to let everyone know this is good. We don't ever make mistakes on these phone calls. We have learning experiences. And I love when learning experiences happen live, because this is the safe zone. This is a safe environment. So if you're ever on a call with a recruiter and you start talking and the recruiter says, "I can't hear you. David, I can't hear you." And David's unmuted and he's like, "I can't figure it out." Just give the universal gesture for 1 minute and then go into chat and type in chat, "I'll dial in," and then immediately go to your microphone icon at the bottom. And I want you all to look at your microphone icon right now as I'm telling you this. Go to your microphone bottom at the bottom, and you're going to see an option that will say switch to phone audio. Now, you don't have to do this right now for everyone on the call. I'm just showing you where it's at, so that if this ever happens to you and they're saying, "Elizabeth, we can't hear you," and Elizabeth's like, "I'm talking," we want you to know, like, go to your microphone, quickly go into chat first and say, "I'll dial in," and then go into chat and look up the phone number and do the dial in, and hold your phone up and just kind of point at it and just say 1 minute and let them know you're dialing in. And then you're going to quickly get to the point where you're into the call. And then as soon as you're in, you're going to start talking and you're going to say, "Can you hear me now?" Like Cheryl's going to do right now. Go ahead, Cheryl.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Perfect. And then we're going to move on. We're not going to dwell on it, because sometimes technology hiccups. All right, perfect. Cheryl, you've got a success story to share with us. In addition to getting your audio to work, what's your success story?
Right. Well, I don't know why that didn't work. Last time I was at the hotel room when I joined, so I blamed it on that. But so I didn't join last week because I had my interview in person at the exact same time as your meeting. And obviously it went very well, so that they offered me the job in the middle of the week, and I accepted. So I was super excited. I feel like I was barely in this group, but I'm also really thankful for it because it gave me some kind of structure when you're cut off of your team. And, you know, I was doing everything from home. So from dialing every day to knowing I was spending my day with at least 3 or 4 other people, to not having access to anyone that I had talked to in, you know, nearly 19 years with that company, you know, it's very abrupt. So this gave me something that I could connect with. And I also wanted to share, just in as much as like I got like 0 nibbles on everything else that I had done. It was really just this one resume that got traction, but sometimes one is all you need. So for all the rejections out there, you just need one where somebody is like, I'm interested in you, let's talk. So it actually happened much faster than I had anticipated, but it can be. So that I just wanted to send a message like I was ready for a long haul, and I have all the empathy for everybody who has been in it for the long haul. I'd like to think that everybody's just one interview away. And for anybody who's just getting in there, you might not have to wait forever. Like this, you know, there are some that hopefully will get jobs more quickly. So I did have to take a small step backwards. It's, you know, I'm starting over at a new company where I don't know anything about them. So I wasn't surprised that I had to go backwards a little bit, but hopefully we can make that short, or maybe in 2 years, I'll be right back here saying, okay, but let's change jobs on my schedule, as opposed to when it was forced on me through layoffs.
That is awesome. Congratulations, Cheryl. And I want to just touch on something, and then we're going to move on to, we'll see if we have any other questions coming in next. So if I've forgotten my helper already, but I'll ask you in just a second for questions. Romina, I think it was. So what I just heard Cheryl say was I had to take a little bit of a pay cut. Sometimes we have to take a little bit of a step backward in order to move forward. And I want you to remember that. Sometimes we get so focused, we have like our job seeker blinders on. This is what I did before. This is the pay level I had before. These are the salary. This is the benefits. This is the industry I worked in before. And you're so like the horse, you know, walking down the street with the blinders on, you can't see anything else around the perimeter. Sometimes like being inside job seeker groups and talking to people you wouldn't normally talk to, taking the interview for a job that you're like, not in a million years would I do that. Like, you know, my friend Tina Marie Wolfield, she told me this once, you don't turn down an interview, you turn down a job offer. So even if you get asked to interview for something that you feel is below your pay level or in a different direction, take the interview. And part of the question you would ask them is, I'm curious, what was it about my background that prompted you to reach out to me? Ask the question, because they might say, we need a marketing director. We see that you're a marketing manager, or vice versa. Like whatever it is, get that out of them. You never know. And to Cheryl's point, sometimes you got to take a step backward to get back into the industry again. Once you land, they're going to see how awesome you are, Cheryl. I have no doubt about it. Like there's going to be a couple months, maybe a year down, they're going to be promoting you, moving you up in the organization. And that step backward that you took was just basically changing the tracks on the train. You went to a different track, and now you're going to be jumping back on, you know, and getting in full on board there. So thank you for sharing that with us. I want to see if any of the All-Stars want to comment on that before we move on. You can unmute yourself if you do. If not, we're going to keep going. Okay, we're good. All right, so questions. Romina, who was our next question that was in there?
I am a helper, and my next question is for me.
Yay. Okay, great. What's your question?
Yes. So I recently got laid off, and ever since I changed my LinkedIn profile, folks have been saying, I'll connect you with, here's a list of people. And I feel like I'm stuck because I don't know how to structure that cold call conversation. So any advice on how to structure that time would be really helpful.
Okay, first of all, did you turn your video off? I'm trying to pull you up on screen and I can't see you. Oh, no.
I did not turn my video off.
Okay, that's okay. So I see you. Let me add you as a spotlight. When I don't have Christopher Johnson on with me, it's a little bit harder for me to navigate pilot and co-piloting. So I appreciate all of you bearing with me. All right. Do you mind if I share your LinkedIn profile up on screen?
Go for it. Okay,
so let me grab, let's see, this is screen 1. Click on here. And Romina, can you please remind me of your last name?
Romina Villaseñor.
Can you spell that?
Vill.
Is this it right here?
Yes.
All right. So again, if you could rephrase the question for us.
Sure thing. My question is, how do I structure a phone call with people that I get connected with through my network. So they would say things like, hey, I know you're looking for an opportunity. You should meet X, Y, and Z.
Okay. So is the question, how do you reach out to request the phone call, or is it what questions are you asking when you get on the phone?
It's the latter.
Okay. So, and these are, I'm assuming, introductions that people are making, like they say that you work in communications, there's somebody who is in the communications field or possibly hiring for a communications role. Does that sound
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you say that. So what I would say is, I would start with, I'm just going to give a couple questions. I'm going to ask all of the VIPs on the call today to go into chatting. And if you have any suggestions for Romina, questions to ask, this is an informational interview. Let's say, first of all, informational interview because they're in the industry. If you know this is a person that's hiring for a specific position, you want to do all the research you can on that position, because this is almost like a preliminary interview potentially for the role. But let's assume this is an informational interview. You want to go in with questions to start the discussion. So ask them a little bit about the industry, any advice they might have for somebody who's looking to find another job in strategic communications or whatever that field is that they're in. And then ask if they would be open to looking at your LinkedIn profile, providing you any feedback perhaps on that. Are they aware of any upcoming events for professional organizations or anything within your industry category where it might be helpful for you to attend either virtually or in person? And I'm going to give you one, for example. I belong to a national women's organization called Together Digital. It's for women who work in every area of digital, which includes marketing, communications, public relations, agency, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to drop the link in chat in case you're interested in checking that group out. We do have some events that are free and open to anyone, and we do have other events that are only for members. We have a Slack channel where there's like a national job board where people will share job postings. And I'm also a part of the Detroit chapter, and I see from your profile that you're in Detroit. So I'll let you know about our upcoming January event. So that's the advice that I would offer to you. I want to see if any of the other all-stars who are on would like to offer any advice for Romina. And I'll ask if you could please use the raise hand function there. I see Mindy's hand is raised. So Mindy, you can go first.
Thanks, Brenda. So Romina, this is a fantastic question, and I think everyone should think about this. I believe that one of the greatest qualities you could have is curiosity. And when you express to a person at your first meeting your curiosity about them and what they do, it's very flattering to a person. And people like to share their stories. And so just by starting out with, hey, John, so nice to meet you. Jude introduced us, and I am so excited to learn more about you. Can you tell me how you began and use XYZ? You should already have looked them up on their LinkedIn profile, know a little bit about them before you start the conversation. But let your curious self guide you and ask questions that will move the conversation forward. People like to talk about themselves, and you should give them the opportunity to do that. And I think that's the best way to get started before you start saying, and I need a job. You got to build the trust first. Everything is about building trust. Build the trust, ask good questions, and then hopefully that person will also be asking you some questions to start building a relationship. Is that helpful? Okay, good.
All right, perfect. All right, any of the other all-stars want to offer any advice to Romina? Sue, Kenneth, Jude, anyone?
I just stuck mine in the chat, Brenda, but it was
Okay.
basically, if you can contact them ahead of time, once you know you're having the meeting, do a focused, here's the 2 questions I'm most interested in discussing with you. Because Brenda, you referred to they may know about events or whatever. That's the kind of thing they could actually prepare and be helpful on.
Absolutely. Awesome. So Romina, can I ask you one question? Because I'm on your LinkedIn profile right now.
Yes. Please go ahead.
Yourself. So when right now I see next to your name, it says third, which means that we are not directly connected, and we don't even have like a shared second level connection yet. I don't see the connect button, probably because of that, I'm guessing. But when I clicked on more and then I click on connect, it says I have to enter your email address to connect. Now that's creating a hurdle for people to connect with you. Was that intentional that you set that up that way?
That was not intentional. I received your email also where I should follow you, so I did that version.
Okay, so if you really want to make yourself easy to connect with, I'm going to show you on screen right now how you do this from your profile. I'm going to go into my profile to show you this. And I'm going to remind you, as well as others on the call, this call is being recorded and it's being broadcast on YouTube. So I do talk fast and I go through quick tips fast too. If you want to watch the playback later, you can go back onto YouTube later and watch the playback. What I'm going to do is I'm going on my LinkedIn right now, and you're going to go onto your LinkedIn to check your settings as well. So Romina, you're going to go in your top menu bar where it says home, my network, jobs, messaging, etc. Under the me icon, you're going to click on settings and privacy. Give it a second to load here. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go under, I always have to think about where do they put this because they keep moving things around. Under visibility, we are going to go under, Kenneth, help me out if you remember where they put this.
Just thinking with you actually.
Is it visibility?
Sign in and
Connections. There.
communications, maybe. I don't know. Let me.
I think it's under visibility. Let me try account and here's the thing, Kenneth and I do this for a living, and LinkedIn moves things around. So if you're feeling confused, I mean, this is what we do for a living. And I'm like, where did they put it again?
No,
but this is
it's not
good
there.
because it gives us the chance to see.
Email address is when you signed in.
I don't think it's there because this
It's
is
not
the
there.
email
It's
that you
not there.
log
It's
in
not
with.
there. No. There's visibility.
I feel like it should be under visibility. Like it should say who can you connect with.
See your last name, connections on, who can see and download.
It's not that one.
Brenda, can you check a blocking maybe? I'm wondering if that's a way
Well,
to block.
blocking is like people I'm blocking. It's not.
Brenda,
Yeah,
I'm going to search on LinkedIn while you guys are chatting and see if I can figure this out or just on my profile. Because I don't want to, because that way you guys can keep having the conversation and
profile discovery blocking. I mean, this is driving me crazy because I want to make sure that I'm helping you and I can't even like, okay, who can reach you? All right, found it. So under settings, data privacy. Why would it be under data privacy? Why wouldn't it be under visibility? I don't know. So who can reach you? Invitations to connect. Romina, you're going to look inside here and you want to make sure that you check everyone on LinkedIn, which is recommended. There are two other options. People who know your email, which is what you have, or imported contacts. I never use that function, by the way, and don't ask me what it means because I don't even use it. But I would recommend that everyone have their invitations to connect setting set at everyone on LinkedIn. So again, to get here, I'm going to start over. I'm going to go under the me icon, go under settings and privacy. And then in the left panel under settings, you're going to click on data privacy. You're going to scroll down to who can reach you. And where it says invitations to connect, you're going to designate that as everyone on LinkedIn. Now, Romina, I'm not sure if you're able to multitask and do this while we're on this session here. If you are, then I can go back to your profile and see if I can invite you to connect. Let's see. Hey, look at that. Now it works. Yay, we got it done. So now I clicked under the more button, and let me show you guys that again, guys and ladies. More button. Underneath there, I see an option to connect. I'm going to click on that and it says, how do you know Romina?
And that's
LinkedIn's not going to verify. So don't worry too much about what you choose. I'm just going to choose met at a work related event. We're at a webinar. It's kind of work related. Then I'm going to click on connect. I'm not going to click on send here. It looks like LinkedIn wants you to click on send because that's the big blue button. Instead, I want you to click on add a note. And what we're going to do is we're going to say, hi, Romina. So I always like to put in hi first name. And then if I have met you, I'm going to remind you where I met you. And I'll just say, great to see you on today's VIP call. You'll remember what that means. I'll remember what that means. Let's connect on LinkedIn, Brenda Meller. Keep in mind, the goal of an invitation is to get the invitation accepted. I don't like to tell them that I'm looking for a job at their company, or can you look at my resume, or I want to do an informational. It's like none of that, because you want to get them to accept the invitation. If they do, then you have permission to message them again, and you also have engaged with them. So if you push something on them, you might scare them away. And if you don't include an invitation, I personally feel like it hurts your chances of getting the invitation accepted. I know there are other people with other philosophies out there. My philosophy is always include a personal note. It helps them to decide whether or not to accept it and connect with you. It helps you because 6 months from now, Romina, you and I are going to forget where we met each other. And one of us is going to click on message and we're going to go, oh, that's right. I sent her a message and we were on the VIP. And then we're going to go, okay, now we remember. I did see a question. Somebody said, why does it say sales navigator on her profile? That's because I have a paid version of LinkedIn called LinkedIn Sales Navigator. It's not something I would recommend for job seekers. It's only something I would recommend if you're using LinkedIn as an independent consultant coach for sales, for lead generation purposes, or if you work in a sales role. Enough on that. I want to keep us moving along. Romina, was that helpful for you?
Y'all are gems. Thank you so much.
We kind of are gems, aren't we? I love that. All right, I'm going to stop the share. We got about 10 minutes to go. We might go a couple minutes over on here. So do we have any other, I don't think I saw any other success stories in chat, Romina. Did you see anything else in there?
We have a success from Cindy.
Oh, Cindy, what's going on with you? Can you unmute yourself?
I think I put it earlier. I've got an in-person interview with 4 people, and I hope I don't have to meet with them all at once, more individually. It didn't say.
Okay, so awesome. When is your interview?
1:30 today.
Oh, very good. And I don't think I can spotlight you. I think your video might be off on here.
Yeah.
So do you have any questions? Anything we can help you with?
Just any tips, I guess. Here, let me.
All right, so I'm going to see if any of the All-Stars have any advice to offer to Cindy as she's getting ready for her interview today. And is it a panel in person or a panel on Zoom?
In person.
Ooh, okay, in person. All right, any advice, Kenneth, Sue, Jude, or Mindy? Feel free to unmute. Okay. I'm not
Okay,
sure.
now I'm in person.
Okay, now I can bring you up.
So yeah.
So here's what I'm going to say. It sounds like you've done the research on the company. You know, you're going to look up the role. I always say when you go to an interview, you want to bring with you a copy of the job description, and I would bring with you a couple copies of your resume just in case you show up to the interview. And I remember being in corporate, you know, sometimes I was like running from meeting to meeting to meeting to meeting, and it wasn't that I didn't want, it wasn't important for me to, oh shoot, I did the wrong thing on here. It wasn't important. The interview wasn't important. It was just like I was running so much that I had a hard time like finding the resume, and like I was walking into a resume, an interview, a panel interview, and I didn't have my materials with me. So if you come into the panel interview and someone said like they don't look like they have a resume, you can say, would you like a copy of my resume? And that will help to make that experience a little better.
I already had a phone interview with the director.
Okay, so but still just bring some resumes with you, because you never know when you might be in a situation where someone has forgotten, they've interviewed and done a bunch of phone calls with different people and they've forgotten who you are and it's not anything towards you. It's just they're busy. They're running a million miles an hour. Bring a copy of the job description. Don't ask them any questions that you could find on their website or on your own. Right. You want to bring into the interview questions you can't find elsewhere. I'm going to pause because I see that Jude has raised her hand. Jude, do you want to add something here?
Yes, I do. One of the things that I've seen again and again with people who are at interviews over my many years of conducting interview skills workshops is that people talk about we did this, and that's not going to be helpful at the interview. The interviewer wants to know what you did and what those steps were that you took that helped the team be a success. So, and another thing too is provide specific examples. So, you know, a lot of times when I work with clients, they say, well, you know, I did that all the time. And if that's your answer at an interview, it's not going to be helpful to the employer. The employer would love for you to share a specific example of a time where you problem solved, or you dealt with a difficult client, or you organized something, but just saying that, oh, I did that all the time, I can do that, no problem, isn't going to be helpful. So think of specific situations that you can share with the employer that demonstrate the skills that you say that you have.
Awesome. Thank you, Jude. All right. I see Mindy's hand is raised. So Mindy, we're going to move on to you next. Any advice for Cindy?
Absolutely. So Cindy, I always recommend to everyone that I do interview prep with, you need to have a couple of stories in your tool belt that you can praise so that people will remember you. And people remember stories before they will remember just a bunch of facts. Oh, I did that, I did this. I did this, but let me tell you about how that worked out for me. You want to talk about the results, you want to talk about what actions you took and how it impacted the company as a whole. Okay, so having a couple of stories is very, very helpful and keep you memorable.
Yes, they call them what? Star stories, par stories, something
Star
like that.
stories. Yep. Yep.
All right. And remember, Cindy, to ask the question, if you haven't already, what was it that prompted you to reach out to me to interview for this role? Because that'll help you to
Yes.
understand the skills and qualifications or experiences that positioned you at the top of the pack there.
I looked up a few of the people who I'm meeting with,
Mhm.
and I only found 2 of them. They didn't give their didn't give all their last names. Look up the company, and I only found 2 of them. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
So, I mean, in that case too, when you're at the interview, sometimes people will come in with their business card. At the end of the interview, you might ask them, do you have a business card with you? If you can
Right.
get that, because that way you can send a follow. And if they say, they probably won't ask for what, because they'll know it's for a thank you note that you're going to be sending it out to them. Or when you leave, if you don't get business cards, like talk to the receptionist and just say, could you give me George and, Sue's last name? I forgot to jot it down. Then you can get them, use that to send the follow-up note. Depending on how the interview went, and if you feel like you clicked with them, I would consider sending them a LinkedIn invitation. If you didn't have a good vibe with them, I wouldn't, if you're like,
So-
it's not a good fit. But is that kind of what you're asking for, to connect with them on LinkedIn?
Oh, no. Isn't it kind of the protocol these days, or advised, I guess, to look them up on LinkedIn before the interview?
I don't know if it's protocol. I would say, yeah, it's definitely helpful to look that up on LinkedIn, especially if you can see if they're active and if they've been talking about certain topics lately, coming into that interview and say, it looks like the company is really interested in XYZ trend, without saying Jude talked about this in her latest post. Cause then Jude's going to go,
Right.
wow, she's really informed. Like, she's paying attention to us. Does that help you?
Yeah, the
Cindy?
company is, the director is, the person who I'd report to is, and I see the job is on LinkedIn. So, but I didn't see 2 other people.
Okay. Yeah. So if you can find them, great. But I would say definitely, I still believe in thank you notes. Thank you letter or thank you handwritten note, preferably, because I think they stand out. Or if you have a thank you email, I think a thank you something that's not a thank you text message, or just a thank you in person is helpful. So Cindy, if it's okay, I'm going to keep us moving along because we're getting
Okay,
towards the
go
end,
ahead.
But good
Thank
luck
you.
to you.
I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank
we hope
you.
that you'll have a continued success story for us next week. And in the meantime, you know that we're always here for you.
Thank you so much, Brenda.
All right. I know we're getting close to end of time, and I know some of the All-Stars might have to leave. I think Kenneth might have to be poking out here in a second. I'm going to do one more. And Romina, I saw you say who's up next. And then it said question from Anne Marie and David. So we'll do those 2 questions and we will finish off. For those of you who have to leave because it's 11, I understand, but we will finish those 2 questions off before leaving today. All right, Anne Marie, did you have a question for us?
Yes, I have a question.
right.
So I have adapted my resume to the infographic format, and I'm doing this because I'm trying to stand out. 'Cause I know I see so many jobs on LinkedIn where hundreds of people have applied, and I want to be different. So I've adapted to the infographic style, and the only part that I'm slightly uncomfortable with is in the interest section. I used Canva to create this resume, and I put in some little graphics of some of my interests. And I don't know, I have mixed feelings. Is it immature? I mean, I'm not that early in my career. I'm in my 30s, and I just want to come across as seasoned, but I'm trying to stand out. So wanted to know the group's opinion on that.
Okay, so on infographics in a resume was the question, on using those?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to ask if any of the All-Stars, if you have any thoughts on that, you can unmute yourself right now. In the interest of time. Mindy, I see you unmuted. Do you want to start? No? Okay. I know, like, one thing is just to, be concerned about is the ATS. Some of the ATS systems, it's a computer scanning and reviewing your resume. So let's say you had a graphic that said you were experienced in Canva. The graphic is not going to be read by the ATS. So make sure that anything that are important keywords that are qualifications for the job are in text format on the resume. I don't know if a Canva resume is scannable. I don't know if there's any websites out there that you can upload and test out an ATS. Jude or Sue, are you, either of you aware of, like, can we test out our resumes anywhere? Can JobScan do that?
The easiest thing to do is to save your resume in, Jude's going to say the same thing, a rich text format, and that'll immediately tell you whether or not, and anything that's an object or an image will come up as blank. So that's, I mean, you can test that even with bolding, and all of the icons will disappear. So you don't have to pay for it. You can just do it in your word processor, whatever you use. I would be careful. I mean, I think there's two things you may be mixing up. Potentially, you could use a graphical display. When I saw infographic, I thought you meant an actual infographic resume, and there are some examples online of those. Not to follow them necessarily, but you could have that, for example, in a first interview. So you wouldn't use that as your resume, but you would use it in your first interview. You might want to put it on your featured section of LinkedIn, where people want quick snapshots of things. So don't take anything as don't do it. Think about the audience and where you want consumable versus where you want flexible, and flexible is what your resume needs to be.
All right, Jude, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah. If you have something in a text box or an image, that's okay. Like that's, that can really make a resume pop. Just make sure that information is also within the body of the resume itself. So, if you've got a graphic saying that you've increased sales by 30% over the 2-year period, make sure that is also, in words in the resume. So that's the way to include both words and a bit of visual impact, I guess, for lack of a better word. However, if you're an infographic resume, recruiters just want things that are really easy to read and give them the information that they want pronto. Sometimes infographics can be really long and a bit crowded and challenging to read. So simple is always better when you're looking for a job. That's all I got. Thanks.
All right, was that helpful for you, Anne Marie?
Yeah, it was helpful. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, thank you for asking. And yeah, the infographics, I just want to make sure you can get through, because we don't want to get stuck on the ATS on there. So hopefully that was helpful, and good luck to you with that. David, I think you're going to be our last question for today. David, are you able to unmute yourself?
Are you saying David Ball?
Romina, do you know which David it was that had the question? Was that David Mills?
I just noted David, but there were 3 back-to-back questions from David, so maybe pick one.
Okay.
I don't think it's me.
Okay, so the David who had the question, speak up, because I think there's 2 Davids on the call. If your name is David and you have a question, please unmute yourself. No?
I believe it was David Mills.
David, but I think we answered his questions.
Yeah, you answered mine in chat.
I think we got that. All right, so since I said one more, we're going to do one more. Is there anyone else who had a question?
I had a question then. It was David Ball.
Oh, David Ball. Okay, David Ball, how are you?
I'm just fine, but mine was real quick. When you said that when you're having a problem with the audio and to dial in, where do you get that phone number?
Ooh, let me show you that, walk you through that here again. So what you're going to do, David, and everyone, if you missed the instructions, I want you to follow along with me right now. In the bottom of your Zoom screen, where you see all of us on video, you should see a menu bar popping up when you hover your mouse up at the bottom. You're going to see a little microphone icon where you can mute yourself. There's a little up caret, like a greater than symbol that's like right next to that mute button. Click on that up caret, and you should see some options that will either say select a microphone, select speaker, and there's another little category in there. In the 3rd category on mine, it says switch to phone audio. That is one of the options. So if you're not able to be heard on a webinar, I want you to go into the mute icon and then click on switch to phone audio. Do make sure though you go into chat first and say, hold on, I'll dial in. So they know that you're working on it, so they don't like end the call and you lose out on the interview opportunity. David, was that helpful for you? Were you able to find it with that instruction?
I did. Now, what's the phone number?
So when you click on switch to phone audio, go ahead and click on that right now and you'll get a pop-up box from Zoom. And
Oh.
Zoom's going to say phone call and it'll say choose your country or region. Here's a bunch of numbers you can call. And then here's the meeting ID, participant ID, and passcode. So you're going to like pull open your phone and like give them the universal gesture 1 minute, and you're going to be dialing on your phone, following the instructions. That way it'll associate you with your video up on screen at the same time. And then just follow the instructions through. You can choose any of the phone numbers. I don't know why they give you a bunch, but choose any of them and then follow the prompts that will say, enter the meeting ID now, enter your participant ID, your passcode, whatever they ask. Does that help you?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay, because I thought when I switched to, I popped that button that you wouldn't see it. I mean, that you couldn't hear me anymore.
Yeah, it's still, in your case, we can still hear you. So in the case earlier when we did this with Cheryl, where we couldn't hear Cheryl, we couldn't hear her until she joined by phone. But in your case, your audio is fine on the PC. So the audio won't move over until you've moved to the phone number, and then it'll pop you over to the phone. So you're only in on it once.
Okay, so I did the switch to the phone audio, and then I see 3 United States numbers, and I see meeting ID, and that looks like a phone number.
No, so just dial in the phone number. And when you dial in, it will say, welcome to your Zoom meeting. Please enter your meeting code now. It'll like tell you what to enter in the order in which it's up on screen.
So I'm on my telephone,
Mhm.
and I'm dialing that.
Mhm.
Is what you're saying.
Yes, correct. So you're going to be going, when you click on phone audio,
Yes.
it's going to have like a list of phone numbers. So you're going to actually dial out, and I'm just going to look at my first number. It says 309-205-3325. I'm going to hit send like I'm making the phone call. And then it's going to say, welcome to Zoom meetings. Please enter your meeting ID now. And you enter that, and then it'll say, please enter your participant ID. And you'll enter that, and it'll say, you're now in the meeting. And then you may have to unmute yourself from your phone, depending on if your phone was muted already or not. But then you should say, okay, I'm on my phone. Can you hear me now?
Wonderful. Okay.
Okay.
Even that little process, since I've never done it, I would still be confused, right?
Yeah.
So I thought for some reason it was going to take you off of your microphone, but since mine's working and didn't have the problem, but so that's just
Exactly.
the scenario.
Exactly. And thank you, David, for asking that question. There is probably at least 1 or 2 other people on the call that are asking and thinking the same thing. They're like, what the heck is the process? How do I do it? Why didn't it work for me? So don't ever feel like on these calls, like, don't feel like that's a silly question. No one else is wondering about me. Ask the question, assuming there's at least 1 or 2 other people. One thing I learned throughout the years is like, we as human beings are not that much different. We have the same experiences, concerns, hesitations. And even for myself, I work with a lot of people who are experience rich. And this is a category, you know, I've kind of like talked about this, but I like to say, instead of saying a mature job seeker or a person who's age 50 plus, I like to say experience rich, because I really truly do believe you are experience rich. And I've talked about this before. Sometimes you might think about this. So if I hold a dish of milk out to you, and I'm going to say, Romina, if I hold a dish of milk out to you and I say, does this milk smell sour? You're kind of going to be going in, squinching your nose, expecting sour milk, right? As opposed to if I hold the same dish out to you and I say, Romina, can you smell this Greek yogurt? Doesn't it smell amazing? And you're reaching out now, you're like, is it vanilla? Is it strawberry? You know, what is it? Is it like lilac or some fancy flavor or something? Now you're going in, I mean, yogurt is sour milk. I'm going to call it like it is, because yogurt is sour milk, right? It's milk that has been fermented through some special process. It's the same thing. So I want you to think about framing yourself up as a job seeker, as a candidate for an organization in the best light possible. So, you know, we've heard about this term of mature job seeker, mature worker, you know, age 50 plus. Like, let's just say I'm an experience rich job seeker. I am an experience rich marketing manager, whatever. I want you to think about that for yourself, because I truly believe that is what you are. You have a lot of experiences that you're bringing with you to your next role. And I want you to remember, They can take away that job title from you. They can take the paycheck away from you, but they cannot take your experiences. All that knowledge and information that you've gained from throughout the years, that stays in your brain wherever you go. Your passion for what you do, your why, all of that, that stays in your heart with you wherever you go. They cannot take that from you. When you are experience rich, that cannot be robbed from you. Sure, they can take the paycheck away. They can take a desk away. They can take away the fancy computer, the nice corner office, all that other stuff. You can find it someplace else because you, my friend, are in between successes. That's all you are right now. You're in between successes. You were at a success in a successful role before, and then the company was not doing well, and they had to take some positions off of the payroll in order to stay viable in the long run. And you are now in this in between successes zone because you're going to find another successful job next, and you're going to be successful in that. You're going to take all of your experiences, all the knowledge, all the passion, you're going to take it into the next role with you. You're kind of like, if you think about an Oreo cookie, you're the stuffing in the middle right now. You're in between successes. You've got the Oreo cookie on the one side, you got the Oreo cookie on the other side. You're the creamy, icy filling in the middle right now, my friend. That's all you are right now. So if you have questions about technology, I want you to remember this is a safe place to ask those questions. If you're thinking of a question and you're thinking other people may not know, they this or not, ask the question. If you're nervous, you can private message me inside chat, or you can message me on LinkedIn. You can email me. A lot of times what I will do is I'll post my responses, and I'm not going to say David Ball asked me this question. I'm going to say someone asked me this question and here's my response. So you actually help me to create content. But in all my years of working with experience rich job seekers, I will tell you, David, Romina, David, everyone else on the call, Veronique, we all have the same questions and concerns. I will tell you that right now. Executives in the C-suite have the same concerns as into other individuals. Are people going to see my posts? Are my coworkers and employees going to make fun of me? Am I doing this right? Is there anything I'm doing wrong that I don't know that I'm doing wrong? I mean, they all have the same concerns, and it's very ironic, but we as human beings are not that different. So I want you to remember that. If you have a question or a concern, you are not the only person who has that question or concern, and the group can help you with all of that. All right, it is now 11:14. I've got to start wrapping because I've got to get myself all stage friendly. I'm fresh faced this morning. I haven't done my hair and makeup. I got to get ready for my 1 o'clock. And I hope that you will join me. If Paige, my intern, if you're still on, I'd love it, Paige, if you could please drop the link into chat for the Experience Rich webinar one last time before we wrap up here today. And I want to thank my all-stars for helping. I think Kenneth may have dropped off, but I want to thank Jude and Sue and who else was on? Mindy. I think that was everyone on there. I want to thank all of you for helping out with my with the facilitation of the questions. Romina, thank you so much for helping me with chat. I really do appreciate your help and being with us here today. We've still got a pretty big group. I want to thank all the rest of you for making the time and for joining us here today. Thank you to Joel, Alicia, Alyssa, Amy, Angela, Cheryl, Christina, Christine, David, Dean, Elizabeth, Janelle, Jeff, Jennifer, Carol, Laura S, Lisa L, Lisa V, Nancy, Encones, Rita, Romina, Ruth, Scott, nice to see you again. Susan, Tom, nice to see you, sir. I know you're from Metro Detroit. Veronique, Vic the Pie Man, and Wendy. It is a delight to see all of you. I want to remind you we are here every Friday. We had like a Friday session, the Thanksgiving, the Friday after Thanksgiving. We're on every Friday. Now, if a major holiday ends up falling on a Friday, I'll let you know in advance. But the plan is we'll be holding these through the end of the year. There is going to be one Friday I will miss, but I'll ask one of the all-stars to help me facilitate that call. So plan on every Friday. The link that you used to join today will be the same link for the remainder of 2022. At the end of the month, I'm going to create a new link for the 2023 series. You'll have to add that to your calendar. Okay. So with that said, thank you so much for joining. Thank you for making the time and the investment in yourself today on this time. I do hope to see you on my webinar at 1 o'clock because it's going to be so much fun. We're going to learn a lot of great information. You're going to leave feeling inspired. And you might be saying right now, but Brenda, I'm not experience rich. I'm not age 50 plus. Can I still come? Yeah, I'm not going to card you. I'm not going to kick you out of the door and say, you're too young. Get out of here, you whippersnapper. Right? No, I'm not going to say that. You can still come in. But I did create this series specifically because I felt like this segment of people who are experience rich is underserved. And I want to treat you all like the rock stars that you are, because I truly do believe that you're rock stars. All right. So with that said, I'm going to end the live broadcast right on now. I'm going to take myself off of video, but I will keep the Zoom open for 15 more minutes. If you'd like to stay on and network with each other or continue to share resources, feel free to do so. Otherwise, I hope to see you on the webinar this afternoon at 1 o'clock. I will open at about 12:45 if you want to come in a few minutes early. All right, everyone, have a wonderful weekend. Thank you again so much, and I will see you soon.